joining me on the yellow table, I've coined it the yellow table, is Sucharita. Sucharita is established or founded a business called Kaleidofin. Actually, it's quite a cool name. It's a bit of a hard one on the tongue the first time, but once you kind of get it, it is great. They're headquartered out of Chennai in India, but she also has an operation in Bangalore, and we're meeting in Singapore. So, Sucharita, welcome to SFF, and more importantly, welcome to the table, or as I call it, the yellow table. Um, so, as we were talking right briefly before we started, as much as I would love to get in and understand about your business, this is going to be about you as the founder,
Yeah.
and your journey as a founder. So, my first question is actually sort of quite open ended, right? It's three parts to it. Um, Tell me what triggered you, or what was that moment of brilliance which made you believe that you wanted to be an entrepreneur or a startup founder.
Yeah.
Try and paint a picture about the last 6 years. I think you said 6 to 7 years
Yeah.
you've been in existence. So paint a picture about that journey, the ebbs and flows of being a founder, the macro challenges, the operational issues, etc., etc. But I'm very, very keen for you to sort of identify a couple of, I guess, events, milestones, incidents which might have happened along that sort of last 6 to 7 years, which have sort of shaped the entrepreneur in you, right? The floor is yours.
Great. Thanks so much, and delighted to be here. As I think of myself in my entrepreneurial journey, especially in Kaleidofin, this is actually my second
Oh, is it? Okay. All right.
entrepreneurial journey, and I see it as a bit of a continuum. I started my career in investment banking in Deutsche Bank and then Morgan Stanley, and I enjoyed it a lot. I was based out of London. I was working on the coolest financing structures, learning a lot, probably working with some of the smartest people. But there was an emptiness that really bothered me. I was unable to answer basic questions for myself. Why am I doing what I'm doing? Would I be proud of myself if I look back at my journey? Would my parents be proud of me? And I couldn't answer any of those questions satisfactorily. And so I started a journey of just exploration into. I was very clear that I needed to live a life with more purpose, more meaning, more impact, but I didn't know how. And then, as time went along, so I met many individuals, people in the area of social work, education, healthcare, and I was like, okay, there's nothing special that I
Fair enough.
have to add to this. These are all great things to do. And then, I actually came across a newspaper article. More accurately, my father showed it to me. So there you are, right? Fathers always have their influence. And my father said that, you might find this interesting. And it had one phrase. It said, making markets work for the poor. And that
Okay.
really stuck in my head. I said, hey, wait a minute. Markets is something I know something about. And I'd never even thought that you could actually apply capital markets to the problems of the underprivileged. And I was intrigued. So I was like, okay, I have to find out more. Literally a week later, I was on a plane to India. I met my first founding team in the IFMR group. Wonderful people, Nachiket Bindu. It was it was like love at first sight.
All right.
It was like that, right? Sometimes it just clicks.
Clicks.
And
Well, I wouldn't know. I unfortunately have never done an entrepreneurial business, but
but it just everything feels right.
all right.
It's not a very analytical journey.
It doesn't feel very
Um,
contrived, as I
It
said.
doesn't feel contrived at all, and it just feels very natural. So I'd wrapped up 8 years of living in London. In 3 months I was back on a plane right back, and I founded my first business, which was a debt capital markets platform for financial inclusion.
Okay.
And post that, it has really been a continuous journey of what next, what next, what next. Um, Single best decision I made in my entire life. I'd never been happier, because I think when you're happy with yourself, then
Everything else falls in place.
everything else falls in place. You attract good people around you. Um, and then when you attract good people around you, you can make good businesses.
Yep.
You can
You make good
inspire,
decisions.
you
And
make
everything.
good
Yeah.
decisions, you inspire other people. So I did that for 10 years. And then, 6 years ago, I started Kaleidofin. So started up again. And this time it was about, um, I was looking for uh, deeper satisfaction. I wanted to touch the lives of the end customer. And this was also a time when India Stack was
Yep.
coming up.
Coming up.
And the promise, it hadn't yet, at that point of time, it hadn't really become a big thing, not like it is today. But the promise was there. And I remember having a super challenging conversation with Nanda Nilekani and his team, where he basically spoke to me, he and Pramod and Sanjay. And these are some of the architects of India Stack. They spoke to me, and they were clearly happy with the work that we were doing, but they were like, aren't you limiting yourself? Why do you need a branch? Why do you need all this expensive infrastructure? How are we going to actually impact 800 million people? And do you really think it's going to happen through branches? And while at that moment I've sort of fought it tooth and nail, and said what I had to, it left me thinking. And as I thought to myself, I said, yes, well, if we can build a platform approach for small financial institutions, then why can't we build a platform approach for small mom and pop stores which are unorganized, have no access to capital, no access to debt, no access to insurance, are completely vulnerable. Why can't we do that? And now with the India Stack, actually, it does seem possible. So there, came the idea of Kaleidofin. And the idea was to really connect large banks, large insurance companies to small businesses, all in the informal, unorganized sector. And this is 800 million people. Most of India is in this segment. And building a platform in the middle. The platform basically, does 3 or 4 things. Credit underwriting. It does the connections via APIs, and it does risk management. So, and soon it became something that I knew I would regret it, that if I didn't try it. So I was like, okay, if that's how you feel, let's go for
Let's
it.
go for it.
And again, I would say single best decision. It was tough. I can't even say it was easy, because the last 6 years there have literally been 2 normal years, and we can actually count.
I think the future will have even less in the next 6.
I know. So literally, it was a period where crisis actually dominated the normal periods. We had the pandemic. We were growing out of demonetization. Our customer segment was severely affected by it, and then we have 2 wars in quick succession. So it has been a challenging period, but and it affected our product lines in different ways. So one of the pivotal moments in our business was when the pandemic happened, and we had a really strong ML-based credit underwriting product. The demand for risk management products went through the roof. We were going to go slow on it, but we, recognized that, okay, obviously risk is going to go up, and therefore the demand for chi-score is going to go up. And let's really, even if we are 70% ready, let's push the pedal and see how we get this out, because the market really needs this product. Nobody is lending to this customer, but with chi-score, institutions can start lending. But on the other hand, we had a savings product which suffered greatly because customers had no money to save, they had no surpluses. So it was a bittersweet.
And you had a
Uh,
trade-off. So
yes.
I'm gonna hold you there because I want to unpack. There's a lot that you just talked to me. I want to unpack some of it right with you. So the first question here uh, is it's not an either or, but when you got into this business, I'm a big fan of Grameen Bank, yeah, which is in our neck of the woods in India, right? How much of your entrepreneurial journey was about the higher purpose of actually solving the problem of the 800 million people versus and saying, you know, something, I solve that problem, I'll make the money will be a function of the problem that I create, or was it as much, or was it the other way around where you saw, hey, there's a great honeypot to go after here because nobody else is doing so, so you know, let me go after this and use the skill set that I have, right? I'm sorry I'm putting you on the spot because
Yeah,
you know, there is in a way I don't think there is a wrong answer because I
of
think both of
course.
them meets the purpose. What was the initial thinking when you got into it?
I mean, frankly speaking, I don't think I would have even been an entrepreneur if it weren't for the purpose.
Okay.
I was the most played safe person I ever knew.
Okay.
Like in my whole family, I was known for being like the good, the good person who takes no risks, who does everything right. And I surprised myself because this was very atypical. There is no entrepreneur in my family, or just nobody,
Okay.
nobody remotely to get inspired from. And therefore it was about, there was a time in my life when I, for various reasons, I needed to prove to myself that I'm a good person, and that was a very strong urge. And so in a way, selfishly, this allowed me to do that.
To do that.
But just the direct answer to your question, it was 100% the purpose. The money will come. And if it doesn't come, it doesn't come. Honestly, that's okay.
Okay.
But I think the purpose is what matters. Without the purpose, there's nothing.
I agree with you. Right. So last question, because we're going to be soon out of time, is for founders who are pursuing startup ideas which are deeply founded in the, if I may call, the higher purpose, right? Solving the problems of the billion, you know, the next billion as they call it, or you know, underserved businesses. They tend to be riskier. Let's be honest, right? That's why they
Of
are
course.
untapped. Two or three, very quickly, two or three nuggets of wisdom that you have accumulated over your last 6 to 7 years.
Okay.
I
That's
get
it.
the purpose bit in addition to the purpose.
So, so number one, business, whether it's for a social purpose, a higher purpose, or whether you just want to solve the food delivery problem, um, is a business. So, and you have to run it like a business, and you need to attract the best talent to do this because, like you said, these are hard problems, right? That's why they remain unsolved. Otherwise, we wouldn't have a problem to solve. So, so don't so you shouldn't think that somehow just having the purpose is enough. You need to surround yourself with the right skill sets. You need the best in tech, you need the best in data science, you need the best in natural language recognition to solve this problem. You need really good strategists. You need really good customer insights. So no compromising on that, and you really need that. So that's number one. Two, it is harder. The pots of capital that are available for, let's say, solving problems that just people like you and me face versus solving the problem of your kirana store or the local tailor, are, frankly speaking, they're not the same.
Yes.
There is not even 1% of the money is available. So I think go in with your eyes open that that is indeed the case, and therefore you will need to be better. Uh, just like, right, they say if you're a woman, you need to be better. Similarly, if you are running a enterprise with a social purpose, you will need to be that much better, because investors are risk averse. This is new, and accept that. And thirdly, I would say engage a lot with governments, policymakers, because those are the forces that could turn things your way, and you don't exactly know how that will pay off. Maybe it will only pay off in the wider ecosystem and nothing personally, but it's still worth it, because you'll build a more robust ecosystem, which is also good for you. So I would say those are the
No,
three things.
I think, they all resonate to me. I'm not an entrepreneur. I'm not trying anything as adventurous as I may call it as you are. Hats off to you, and hats off to the fact that you've made such an incredible transition. I wish you the very best, and your business. Keep the flag flying for the underserved, as I say, because I think we need more and more focus, right? To me, one of the key elements of re-architecting this sort of global financial system, which is the theme of this event at SFF, I think financial inclusion in the wider sense, which is serving the underserved, is very critical. Thank you for coming. Thank you for making time. And I'm fairly confident our paths will cross each other. If you're ever in Dubai or the Middle East, give me a shout. We'd love to hear more about
Absolutely.
your business.
Absolutely.
Right. Thank you.
Thank you so much.